Hello and welcome to the Goal Setting Techniques webinar. It's really great to have you as part of this. My name is Debbie Clement-Large and my business is Why Follow the Herd, and this is all about confidence coaching for you and business skills, and this is a fantastic webinar today. I'm really excited about this one because goal setting is so important. You know, we need to have a dream and have somewhere to go in life. So we're going to have some really great techniques today in actually helping you to be able to the best you can be and you know, bring about everything that you want in your life. So this is fantastic. So just while we wait for everybody else to finish joining, think about what you want and your goals, you know, and what do you achieve and how have you done so far? Okay, so I think we should make a start. So I did send out a message about having some paper and some pencils or pens to hand. We're going to do a bit of an interactive thing. So we'd like to get the ball rolling for you as we start to go through. So this is really important. You know, when's a good time to start? There's always a good time to start. And now is the place we're in. So let's get ready to put some goals together. So I hope you got it all ready. That's fantastic. Now we want to start off by saying, do you dream like a baby? You know, babies are great, you know, and as they get older, they learn to walk and they don't think of failure. They, you know, there's an opportunity. They feel like they can do something. They never worry about anything. And that's fantastic, you know. So I would ask you, do all your goals, do they hit the back of the net? Do you achieve what you want to achieve in your life? You know, has everything come with ease? Do you hit home runs? You know, is that just something fantastic? You know, hit a ball out of the ballpark, you know? And that, you know, that would be great if we could do that every time, wouldn't it? You know, do you feel like you're crossing the finishing line when you're running for a goal? Or, you know, do you feel, yes, I've achieved it, I've got there? I mean, that would, you know, that's just a fantastic feeling. Or do you just feel like you're on a bit of a roller coaster ride, you know, and life is just dragging you down and it's a bit scary and sometimes you just want to go, ah! You know, does life make you feel like that? Do you feel stuck between a rock and a hard place, swinging from one side to the other? But then you know you've got to have a goal and you stand there and you prepare for it and you look ahead. And what do you think? You think, well, I don't know how to do it. And sometimes you might even think, well, why do I do it? What's the point of all this? You know, is there a point to setting goals? Well, there is a point. And happiness isn't an accident. And I love this quote, nor is it something you wish for. Happiness is something you design. Now, isn't that just a wonderful quote? I just think that's fantastic because happiness comes from within us, you know, it doesn't come from without. And yes, we can buy things and they'll make us happy for a short period of time. But actually really getting that lasting happiness comes from within us. We generate it. And we generate it by having goals. We generate it because we've got somewhere to go. We have a point to something we want to accomplish. And really, you know, it just comes down to just being as simple as that. You know, it's just having that definition, that's something to work for. We all need a point in life, you know, and even when we get to the point where we retire, if you still need a reason to get up in the morning, you know, whether that's just a dog or whether it's just having friends or your family. But, you know, we all want a reason to do something and they don't have to be big goals. They can be small goals, but that's fine. It just gives you a reason. So that comes back to the question of, do you know where you're going? You know, do you know where you're heading? Have you got a clear vision of that out in front? Or have you got your head stuck in the sand? Are you just hiding from the fact of what's going on and saying, oh, I don't know, I don't want to look at it yet? Or are you drifting along? I mean, I've done that in the past, I've done that, and I'm sure we all have, you know, and that's really kind of important when we think about drifting along, because we let circumstances dictate where we're going, you know, and I've done that in my career in the past before. And sometimes you find you get somewhere and you think, why am I suddenly doing this? Why did it take me to this point in my life? I've just sort of let life take me along rather than me taking life along and me doing what I want. And sometimes that's because we're afraid to give something a go. Things are scary, stepping out and doing something different. We have fear as we get older. We have egos, and we have people that say, why should we be able to do it? What's so special about us? And things become scary. We have mortgages, might have debt, we might have, we have to earn money. And why should we do something different? Why should we step out and try a new path in life? We might have friends that say, oh, you don't want to do that. They might be our dream stealers. And they're not great. We want to be in a place where we feel courageous. But we've got to remember, really, that whether we feel scared about doing something, or whether we, hold ourselves back, or whether we go for opportunities, do you know what? We're not alone in what we do. We're not alone in being scared. We're not alone in feeling fearful about doing something new, or, thinking that people might think we're really silly, or people might think, well, what does she know? What does he know? Who are we to give advice, or who are we to stand up and set up our own business, or who are we to live in a certain country, or, go on certain holidays, or buy certain things? But we all feel like that. We're not alone in that. And that's really important to remember, that we're not just the ones that have those feelings. We all do. And when we try things, we fail sometimes. And, you've got to think, is that a bad thing? And it's not, because that's what makes us strong. And, people like Edison, how many times did they try things, but they found, there was a great quote where they said, well, I haven't failed. I've just found 1,000 ways not to do something. And that's right. That's maybe the way we should look at things. There are opportunities and ways of not to do something, or to do something differently. It doesn't mean to say that we've failed at something. And failure makes us stronger. And there was a great story. It was a story told by Earl Nightingale. And he said, this story goes back many years. And the story was that this farmer wanted to make himself a new wooden cart. And on his farm, he had a group of trees, and then he had one tree that stood out on its own. And as he was walking across his land with his friend, he said, right, I'm going to choose today which tree I'm going to use to build my cart. And as they were walking down the slope of their fields, this one lone tree on its own came into view. And the farmer said, that's the tree I'm going to use for my cart. I'm going to cut this one down. And the other guy said to him, well, why are you going to use that lovely tree that's out on its own? Why not use, you've got a whole, not quite a forest, but, you've got a whole expanse of trees down there. Why don't you take one from there? And the farmer said, do you know what? This one tree has stood on its own. It's been out in all winds and weathers, and it's fought to survive. It's had to struggle against the storms and the strong winds, and that's made that tree strong. It's made the wood strong. It's not been surrounded and sheltered by other trees. So this is the right tree. I need a really strong wood to make a cart that's going to be resilient, and that's going to be strong, and that's going to be, something that will last me for a long time. And that's what I need. That's what that tree can give me. The other trees are fine, but because they've been sheltered and they've been part and all amongst other trees, they haven't had to struggle. So I'm going to take the wood, from that one lone tree. And that's right with us. When we have little setbacks and we have struggles, or things don't work maybe quite the way we'd want to, there are ways for us to find opportunity to make us stronger, and we might say, okay, that's one way that didn't work, but this is the way that can, and this is the way we can do something, and it makes us stronger and more resilient. And after all, failure is in the mind. And is it really failure? I mean, that's an interesting thing, you know, is stumbling blocks. You know, we maybe it's our culture, maybe we just automatically think of if something hasn't gone right that it's a failure. But that's just in our thoughts, and we're always free to choose our thoughts. You know, just because something's not gone right, I found a way not to do it, but now I'm going to look at how to do it. You know, it's finding that positive. Hey, right, okay, that's one way not to do it. Let's find a way that we can. So the more times we think a thought, the more dominant they become in our minds, and eventually they become accepted as true. And we all have our own map of how we see the world. And, you know, when we believe things long enough, they become our beliefs and our habits. And sometimes that's a good thing. And sometimes that's not such a good thing, because they can hold us back from things, and they can make us take shelter because we're a bit worried or a bit scared about stepping out. But it's all about being responsible and taking responsible action for who and what we are, and standing out and thinking, actually, I can do something. And I will take responsibility for that. And it will be something that I can do. And I believe in myself, you know, and it's trying to choose the positive thoughts rather than oh, I'm not sure I can do that. I don't think I can. I'm a bit worried about that going wrong, because that just deflates us. You know, we want the positive. Actually, okay, that hasn't worked, but I can do this another way, or find a different thing, or I speak to somebody else and then another opportunity comes up. And that's exciting. And, you know, taking responsibility for ourselves really is, you know, important. And it's about freeing ourselves from things that bind us, things that hold us back. And our ego can do that sometimes because we're afraid of what people might think of us. And we're afraid of how society or where we work or anybody, you know, what will they think if we do something different? But actually, that's really freeing for us as well, isn't it? You know, it's exciting to have that, be empowered and feel in control, and being able to think, yes, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can have that belief. And the way to think about it is that our minds have two parts. We have a conscious part and we have our subconscious part. Now, our conscious part sets our direction and gives our commands. And that's the way we think. Now, when we have a subconscious part, that just follows those directions. And it really doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong, they're true or false. They're all based on our beliefs and the things that we've built up and accepted as true over time. And it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes when we're learning to drive, it can take ages, you know, your feet feel all over the place, you know, where's the pedals? Oh, which gear does it go into? You know, oversteering, understeering, reversing around corner seems a bit of a trial, you know, and then you gradually get the hang of it. And then when you've been driving for a while, do you ever get to the point where you think, actually, I've just driven 10 miles and I don't really remember doing it? You know, your mind has been somewhere else, thinking about something else at the time, and you've just done it completely and utterly on autopilot. So that just shows where something starts off in our conscious minds, like learning how to drive and learning how to steer and how to use the foot pedals in a car. And they become really ingrained, and, you know, our body, they become on autopilot and they change into your subconscious so that you just work on autopilot. And if it does that for things like we're driving, it does it for lots of other things as well that we do. And it's really being aware of that. So it makes us ask, what are we focusing on? You know, and the more you focus on things that you don't want, and it doesn't matter whether you say, oh, I don't want to spill something on my top, or I don't want to be late. It's that don't that you're focusing on that brings things about. So we should be better to say things like, I want to be there early, or I want a great relationship, or I feel really healthy. You know, the more you worry about the negative things, the worrying about becoming ill, or the worrying about not having enough money to pay your bills, the more you start seeing that and the more you start attracting that. It's a bit like when you decide to get a new car or a different car. You might not have focused on those cars before, but as soon as you get that new car, whatever model or whatever color it is, you start seeing them everywhere and you think, God, they're everywhere. I never really noticed them before. And it's kind of a bit like that, really, where the more you focus on something, the more that you see it. And we do have a habit of focusing on things that maybe we don't want. And we think, well, because we're saying I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor. That means I want money, lots of money. But that's kind of not the case. You're focusing on what the lack of. So really, it's about focusing on what you want instead and starting to move towards what you want. And the next thing to ask is actually, are you in balance? Because that's really important. We might think we want a new job, or we might want a new house, or we might want to move to live in a new country. It's more than just one thing. We need balance in our lives. And, when I started off being a chartered management accountant early in my career years ago, and I sort of drifted into being that. And I'm quite a creative person, and I love writing and being creative and doing lots of different things. But when I was studying to do those exams, I didn't really have time to be creative or do anything different. And I really felt out of balance. It really didn't feel right. Life didn't feel, it felt sort of sticky and, wading through treacle for things at times. And as soon as I finished those exams and I could equally put things into balance again, life started to feel better for me. I felt happier and more peaceful in me as a person. So I think it shows that we all need to be in balance. So the first thing we need to think about is whether we are in balance or not. And if we're not, where are we not in balance? So if you take a look at this wheel, I want you to spend a little bit of time, want to think about this. Where are you on the wheel? So, for example, the career and business, where would you rate yourself on a 1 to 10? What have you got? What makes you happy? Do you feel really fulfilled with your career and business? Is this something that feels really, you're achieving things, it's working well, it feels fantastic about what you're doing, you're excited about your job or your business? Is this something that's great? But then when you look at friends and family, you're finding actually you don't have really any time for friends and family. You don't really see your friends anymore, and you might feel slightly less out of balance. So you might give yourself a lower score for that. So have a think through. So for career, you could say, oh yeah, that's fantastic, I'm a 10 on that. But my family and friends time, I'm only a 2. And then when you look at your finances, well, working really hard, not doing too bad. Finances are okay, could be better. I've got debt or not got debt, or got lots of money in the bank. So just score that on where you are. So you might say you're a 6 or an 8 with the finances, and then move on to the romance or the intimacy, your partner. What's that like? Do you have somebody special in your life? Is that working well? Are you happy? Do you feel fulfilled with that relationship? Give that a score from 1 to 10. And then on to health and social care. Do you feel healthy as a person? Do you feel, are you treating your body with respect? Are you giving yourself exercise and nice food? Do you feel nutritionally wise that, you're eating food that will energize you? And, you're giving yourself the best possible situation to be in terms of your health. So give yourself a score from 1 to 10 on that with your balance. And then social fun. I mean, we all like to have some social time, some downtime, some relaxation, a bit to recharge our batteries, have some laughs, have some fun. I mean, that could be family, friends, it could be locally to where you live, it could mean going on adventure holidays or anything. What feels really good and fun for you? And, do you have enough of that balance in your life? Is that something that's working well and feeling exciting about? Now, personal spiritual development is the next thing. And that's people like to feel that they're developing. We like to feel that we're better today than we were yesterday. It's about growing as a person and getting to know ourselves as a person. And that might seem a bit silly, but we don't, we're still learning about ourselves all the time through our lives. I don't think you ever stop learning in any area of your life, really. It's all about growing and learning from other people, and all that comes from stories and where we are, and we learn about life through stories. And so we can read personal development books, we can have coaches, we can learn from people who are in the position that we want to learn from. But it's that journey. Do we feel that we're on that journey to becoming who and what we want to be? Or do we feel stuck? Do we feel like we haven't grown, or we're not reaching our potential? So give yourself a score for that area. And also the environment in which you live, your home, your office. Is this something that pleases you? Are you in the right place, the right situation? You've got the things around you that make you feel happy? Do you have your own little bit of space that maybe you can go to and spend some time doing things for you in? Or is your house crowded and noisy all the time, where you just feel like you haven't got any time for yourself or space to have a bit of quiet and peaceful time? And give yourself a score for that. Now, when you've got scores for these on a circle, just draw up the lines. So the 10 will be on the outer edge, but then if you're coming down to 2, you're near the middle, and then maybe for finances you back out for 8, and for romance you're back on a 6. And actually you get a nice, almost like spiderweb pattern of where you are and where you're in balance and where you're not in balance in your life. So if you've got any low scores on any of those, these are the areas that maybe you want to start thinking about setting some goals for and trying to get a bit more balance with. But that's a really, really great template. And of course, if there are any areas that you want to change on the outside, you can put different headings with that. I mean, it's great. It's really flexible. So our biggest goal is actually knowing what we want. Now, we might know where we're out of balance and the areas we need to focus on. So we need to think about what we want to achieve and defining our own purpose on our own direction. And I love that quote at the bottom. It's desire without purpose is nothing but wishful thinking. And that's so true. We need a purpose about something, but we need that desire to keep us going, and that goal is what sets us on that path of that journey. We don't want to just think about we want to do something. It's actually setting a purpose and a mission and moving in that direction is really important. And it's all about our imagination. What can we dream for ourselves? What can we envision our lives to be in 3 years' time, or 5 years' time, or 10 years' time? Where do we want to, what do we want to, how do we want our life to be different? What do we want to achieve? So have that desire. And sometimes we need, if it's a big goal, we need a burning desire to do it. And then it's that, what is our purpose for doing that goal? Why are we doing it? And having those strong thoughts will help us along that path. And planning to reach our stars is really, really important. And this is great because there was some research done about if we have a goal, but we keep it in our heads, then that's fine. That's better than not having any goal at all. But if you just keep it in your head, the chance of you reaching it at the end of your year are negligible. They're really small. And research has shown that to us. So what we need to do is decide upon our goals and commit them to paper. And, if we can commit them to paper, that leaps us up from not getting them at all to 30% when we've keeping them in our heads and up to 50% when we write them down. So, that's a huge shift by just deciding on your goals and writing them down. But even then, even better than that is sharing those goals with other people. And if it's almost like being held accountable and we're communicating, it makes us feel a bit vulnerable sometimes to say, actually, this is what I want to achieve and I'm going to set out and get it. And you have that fear of people looking at you and feeling, really, you're going to do that, and have certain opinions of you. And, that's hard for us sometimes. And I've had that people say that to me, you're doing what? Really? And you think, well, yeah, I want to do that. And that's great. And, I don't mind. I feel a bit silly, but, sometimes that drives you on and you think, I don't mind. I'm going to be a bit silly. Actually, I'm going to do this because this is important to me. And I don't care what you say, but, and you're going to watch me now. So I'm going to feel accountable, which means I've got to get on and do it. And it's all about who we surround ourselves with and who we talk to. Don't ever let anybody steal your dream. I like to call them the dream stealers, and they just like suck the life force out of you. So if you're watching a Harry Potter, they're a bit like a Dementor. They suck, instead of sucking the happiness and the out of you, they just suck your dream out of you. Telling you why you can't do it, telling you, don't be silly. Why would you think you could do that? But people achieve wonderful things in life. You don't want to get to the stage where you look back one day and you think, do you know what? I wish I'd done that, or I'd had that really good idea. I really wish. Because when you get to, the end of your life, you never look back and, and think, you always look back and regret the things you never did, don't you? You'll never think, oh, I'm really glad I spent all those hours in work, or, oh, I'm really glad I didn't do whatever. But you'll look back and you'll just think, I really wish I didn't do that opportunity when it arose, or I really wish I didn't take that step and work for myself, or I really wish I moved abroad to a different country and experienced some culture somewhere else. There's always those things that maybe we're afraid to do during our lives that we didn't do, that we regret when we're at the end of our lives. So try and surround yourself with people that are on the same track as you, that will believe with you, that won't laugh at your goals, that won't criticize you if you don't hit your goals, even though you're moving towards them. Just because you don't hit them at the end of February, you might hit them at the end of March. Time frames change, but it's about having people that support you and will encourage you and will believe in you. And, having that tribe of people around you that and sharing your goals with them is really, really important, because they were the people who will help you believe in yourselves and help drive you forward. So our brains in setting goals, we have brains of two halves. We have a left side of our brain, which is really logical. It likes to work things out with processes and such forth. But we have our right brain, which is creative. And, it will think in colours and pictures, whereas our left brain will think in words and shape, and it's actually making the really best use of our brains and the way we think in our goal setting. And we choose our destination through our right brain. We dream about what we want, and that's all right brain thinking, being creative about what we want. And then we decide how we're going to get there and how that's going to be worked through our left side of our brain. That's the logical process. We've dreamt where we're going to go, and then we use our left side of our brain to work out actually how we're going to get there. And what are those steps that we need to think about doing? So our left brain, logical. It identifies the best path and strategy to achieve our vision and those major steps towards achieving it. And it also looks back through our memory and what's happened before. And sometimes this is really interesting, because just because something hasn't worked in the past, or we've had a certain experience in the past, doesn't mean to say we're going to have a certain experience when we encounter that problem or that situation again. But our brains think like that, So it might be that, say you have tried working for yourself before and you've had a business and it didn't work and it went into liquidation. And you might think, actually, I'd quite like to set up my own business. And maybe you start thinking about what you could do as options, or what your expertise is and what your business could be. But then your right brain will think to you, hang on a minute, you've done that before. Remember when that didn't work? Look at all the problems you had. You had to go bankrupt, you had to go through all these, you had lots of people you owed money to, you didn't sleep at night. And it starts bringing all these things up into your mind, and then you start worrying about it, and you say, oh, hang on, maybe I shouldn't do it. But that's all right, brain. But just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean to say that it can't work in the future. This is just the way our brains work. It's almost like having that sense check and having that fear factor of saying, hang on a minute, I'm just coping mechanisms coming alive here. Just going to warn you, big warning coming up. Look at what you've done. You've done this before. But we can ignore that. That doesn't mean to say that's true, but we get worried by it and it holds us back. And then we think about our creative right brain. This is where our imagination comes alive. This is where we don't look back like the left side of our brain does. We look forward to the future, and we get the feelings of what we want, what excites us, what can we expect in the future, and how do we want our lives to look. And we feel that, and that feeling comes from our heart as well. And research has actually shown that we have brain cells in our hearts as well. So that's where we get gut feelings about things. That's why we talk about a gut feeling being right, or something, following our heart to do something. So that's really interesting. We've almost got a part of a second brain really in our heart, which is I don't know. The human body is just an amazing thing, really, isn't it? So we've got the bit that looks back on our left, on our logic side, and then we have the bit that works forward on our creative side. And this is where we have problems with traditional goal setting. Now, traditional goal setting techniques are all based around our left side, our logical side of our brains. It's about writing lists. I mean, how many times have we written lists? Sometimes they're really good for short-term things. I want to go shopping and I'm going to write a list of what I'm going to get. And then as you walk around, you can, mentally tick off what you've got. And that's great. But when that's a long-term goal, it doesn't engage our creative juices. It doesn't get us, going and interested in how our creative side works. And that's why so often goals don't work. We get bored with them, or the logic or something doesn't quite work out the way we want, and our fear and our ego and looking back on our past that our logical side of our brain does, and it says, no, look, you've been there before, that's not going to work. You can cross that goal off because you're not going to achieve that one. And maybe we those little stumbling blocks, which actually could open up into making all our dreams come true if we could just get over those few bumps in the road, can actually stop us doing what we want. Our logical brain can put that fear into us, and we can't look beyond it. We need that imagination to look beyond and to hold that vision into what we want. So the first step in all of that is to actually learn to dream. And for some people that's a bit difficult, allowing yourself to dream, but it's purely a right brain creative function. So I'd like to take you through on a journey. So wherever you're sitting, or if you could just close your eyes, and I'd like you to do some deep breathing and to relax. And I want you to do 3 deep breaths and just feel your body sinking into your chair. And you feel really nice, starting to feel heavy and relaxed. And that's a nice feeling, isn't it? Now I want you to feel yourself on a beach. And you can feel the sun on your skin, and it just feels, do you know what? The sun on your skin just feels wonderful, doesn't it? It's just such a nice feeling. And there's sand under your feet. You can hear the waves lapping. It's just that lovely gentle sound of coming up the beach, and the beach is lovely golden sand, and the sand is warm. And just imagine how it just feels wonderful and relaxing. And just feel yourself there for a minute. And you stand up, and actually you're going to take a little stroll along the beach. So as you move and you're walking slowly, you can feel that lovely golden sand under your feet. And you can feel every part of you moving. You're still listening to the gentle waves lapping up the beach. And you can feel that warm, beautiful sun on your skin. And you just feel so relaxed, and it just feels wonderful. And as you're walking and there's no other sounds around, it just feels really, really peaceful. And as you're walking, you look down and you see a blue bottle in the sand, just poking up from the sand. And you stop and you reach down and you pick that bottle up. And when you look at it, a little genie pops out of the bottle. And it says, "I grant you 3 wishes. Your wishes are my command. What is it you want?" And as those thoughts of what you want spring into your mind, take yourself 3 years into the future and actually see those things becoming your reality and how they will feel once they're in existence. And start putting those dreams now into what you want and how good that will feel. And you might have lots of dreams, and that's fine. But start bringing them all to the surface. It's fabulous. And, it's just makes you feel different. You feel more alive with what you've got and how exciting. And, the realization of the things that maybe you've wanted for a long time. How does that make you feel? And dare to dream that you can have them. And as you're feeling all the feelings of having those dreams in reality, do a couple more deep breaths and start bringing yourself back up, back awake. So gradually you're feeling you coming back to your service, back to reality, and open your eyes. You should have had some dreams, some goals, automatically should have sprung into your mind and what you'd like to achieve. And that's a really good place to start. Now we're going to get to the place where we dare to put those dreams down onto pen and paper. And this is your turn. So grab your paper, grab your pencils or pens. We're going to start putting this together now as something that we can really work towards. And the thing is now's the time to start doing it. Because if we don't do it now, when are we ever going to do it? And the only time we ever have is now. We live in the now. But we're often in our heads looking to the past or looking to the future. Oh, I'll do that in a minute. Or this isn't the right time and I'll do it tomorrow. Or I'll do it next week. And very often we never get to that point of doing it. It's always, I'll do it in a minute. So while you're here, use now. It's the right time to start putting those goals into place, to start putting them down. So we're going to start with our logical goals. And I love this template because it actually splits it out, and our logical goals will all be written goals because our left side of our brain loves the way that works, that logical side. So in the middle, draw a diagram similar to this, and in the middle, write your main goal. What came into your mind when you were dreaming and doing that exercise? What did you feel like you wanted to achieve? Okay. And your goals might have consisted of smaller goals as well. So your main goal could be a new job. It could be moving house. It could be moving to a new country. It could be starting your own business, whatever it was for you. And then you could have sub goals as well. So your sub goal could be a holiday. It could be getting a pet. It could be anything that feels right for you. Now, you don't have to have 6 sub goals. We've got 6 there in the example. I think when I come on in a minute to draw my examples, I've got 4 in there. But you can have more, that's fine. It's just spend the time now quickly jotting down what your sub goals are. Could be that you want more time in your life, that you want to buy yourself a new car or something, or reduce your hours, do more yoga, do more exercise. But when you've got your goals down, it's really, really important to think about why you want those goals, because the why is the driving force that will keep you going when you start hitting those stumbling rocks in the path in your journey to getting what you want. And they will all have obstacles. There will be ups and downs, and we have things that we'll have to overcome, and it's having that strong why that will keep us going. So why is it that you want your goals? Is it because of family? Is it because you want a work balance in your life? Is it because you love something, you love animals and you'd love a pet? What are the whys? Now, you don't have to stick to 3. You can have more or less, that's fine. But whatever that why, it's really got to be strong and pull you through, something that you can focus on in the longer term, the reason you're doing it. Okay. So if you've jotted the whys down, we then need to move on to the how. So how are we going to achieve our goals? So say you want a new job is your main goal. Well, how are you going to look about achieving that? Do you need new skills? Do you need to go on a course? Do you need to set up your own business? Do you need to speak to how are you going to do it? Is your goal something that you want to purchase, and therefore you need to earn money to do that? That would be a how. So these are all the little steps along your timeline from your start to your end date of reaching your main goal. And again, we've got 3 there illustrated, but you can have more than that, and that's fine. Or you can have less than that. Okay, so once you've written your hows, think about who do you need to help you to support you in that journey. It could be that you need family and friends. It could be that you need some expert advice. Or it could be that you need some tuition, maybe as part of a course. Who do you need to help you in that journey? So we can't always do things alone. We need people to help and to guide us as well. And that's important to understand how we're going to do something and who we can ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with asking help. Actually, asking help is a good thing, because we never know everything. There are people around us all the time who have fantastic expertise, and it's just about tapping into that and having that tribe of people around us that not only we can share our goals with, but we can ask for help and also share that help as well. And we can help support other people as much as they can help and support us, and that's great. So I'm hoping we've got to the stage now where we have a reasonable structure of our logical goals. And now we need to turn them into creative goals. And this is what really helps us to technique that really gets those goals working for us and our brains working for us, because we need to tap into both sides of our brains. So this is definitely our left logical side. And now we need to move on to our right creative side. And it's all about drawing those goals. Now, I've got the writing in there, but what you need to do is the pictures instead of the writing. So draw a picture of your main goal. What is your main goal? Now, you don't want any words on this template. It's all about the pictures. I've just put the words there for illustration. So if your main goal is to go on holiday somewhere, draw your picture of what your lovely holiday destination would look like. Or if your main goal is to get a new job, what do you want? How would you represent in pictures what your new job looks like, or your new profession, your new business, whatever it is, or your new house, if that's your main goal, or your new partner even. If finding romance or finding a new partner is your main goal, then what do they look like? Draw a picture of them. And it's really important at this bit not to get images off the internet, because that's so easy to do that. And that doesn't engage our creative side of our brain at all. What we need to be thinking about is the physical act of drawing what it looks like. And that's what engages and fires those neurons and creates those new neural pathways in our brain, because that's what we want to do. We want to get our brain working and firing towards what we want. So we need to use everything that we can to enable that to work. So the logical bit is the written thing, and then the drawing is getting that creative juices, and we start building those neural pathway networks then in our brain. And logically, how can we do it? And creatively, what does it like? Now, if you're anything like me, drawing really isn't my number one skill, but it really doesn't matter, because they're just for you and they just need to be a representation. So draw your sub goals in there. So if it's a holiday, have some trees. If it's a new car, what does your car look like? What color it is? Make it as colorful as you can. And put the why at the top. If it's to do with love, maybe you want to draw a heart. If it's your family, draw a family. Now, it doesn't matter. You don't have to get them visually looking right. But, you can do stick men as a representation of your family, if that's good for you. And you can paint these or color or pens, but make it as colorful and as expressive as you like. And that's fantastic. And how you do it, if it's money you want, maybe draw some coins or a money bag. If you want to go to a course or you need to go to university, what does university or to college, what does that mean to you? How would you visually represent that? Would it be a building? Would it be a learning board? Would it be a computer? What things, and think about how you translate what you've written into a picture. And that goes with the same with the who. So if you're needing an expert, draw an expert. What does an expert look like for you? Or if family and friends are going to help, what do they look like to you? And don't forget, we need the start and end dates as well in there. Okay, so I'm hoping that you're starting to scribble down some ideas and, get a visual representation of your logical structure that you wrote. And we're going to have a look at mine. So this is kind of what I put together as a representative idea. So my main goal was breaking free. So that was for breaking free from what I don't, breaking free from a job into, working for myself. That was what's important for me, having that responsible, being free to do what I want when I want. So that's a sub goal for me, was freeing up time. Another sub goal is I want to be able to live in a house by the sea. Now I am reasonably near the sea. It's only about 8 miles away, 7-8 miles away. But I want to be right next to the sea, and I don't want to be stuck with the location of a job. I want to be able to live wherever I want to be, which was that whole point of that breaking free for me. And another sub goal for me is family time. I absolutely adore my family, and I have a wonderful family, and I want to be able to spend as much time with them as I can. So I want to be able to work, and when I want to be able to work, or when it fits in with my family, and when it's good, so that I can maximize the amount of time that I can spend with everybody. And my sub goals are for holidays. I like holidays. And, I want to be able to plan and work towards new holidays, new experiences, new places, where I'm going. And, that kind of makes me feel excited, all those goals. And that breaking free for me is the main goal, because, that's what's held me back from living in a place by the sea. I need to be able to run my business and earn money from wherever I live. So that's what's exciting. Now, as you notice on there, I've got 2 sub goals that are empty, because I decided actually I didn't need to fill those, and that's okay. You don't need to have something in every box. So why? My main drivers, as I said, are why you're going to do something. And this is what keeps you on the road through that bumpy path. So for me, it's my family, because my family are amazing, and I love them dearly, and they're just phenomenal. And I want that family time, and I want to be able to enjoy their company more. And if I want to work in the evening, that's fine, but I can have family time during the day. But that gives me that choice and that control. So that's why I'm doing it. And I want balance in my life. I want balance between where I'm working, how I'm working, and all the other bits that were on that work-life balance wheel. The social time, the time with friends, what I want in my life. I need a good balance. And, there have been times in my life where I felt like I haven't had a good balance. I explained a bit when I was studying. I studied for 6 years, really, really hard. They were tough exams. And, I felt really, really out of balance during that time. Everything was very logical. It was working full time, studying then in the evening, spending hours and hours and hours. And it was just really, really logical stuff. So I felt really out of balance with my creative side and time that I had with family and friends. So it didn't feel right at all until I'd finished those, and I could start putting things back in perspective and back into balance again. So knowing why is your drivers, and that will what keep you going. And then thinking about how. So if I want to break free, I need to build a business. So that's what that will do it for me. I need to build that business. And I'd like people queuing up to do business with me. That's important. I want to be able to help and add value to other people's lives and in what they're doing. And, by caring about what I do and caring about what I'm supplying and what I can help with, is actually people will want to work with me. And then, obviously I need money. We all need money to survive. So, how I will do it is through earning money through my business, by those people wanting to work with me. And then we go across to who's going to help me. Well, I need family and friends to help me. I need that support, that sometimes I might need to be a bit flexible when I'm working, and, that they understand and they support me in what I'm doing, that if I'm not around to take the dog for a walk, that's fine. Someone else will do that for me. Or, just to be there when I'm thinking, something's not working quite right. And we all get minutes like that, don't we? And, they're there to say, it's okay, you're fine, you can do this, I believe in you. And that's cool. We all need somebody to believe in us, but mostly we need to believe in ourselves. And the next bit, we might want a coach. And, lots of people, especially really, really successful people, have coaches. And you would think that actually, I know some people that have multi-million-dollar businesses, and they have coaches. And that's how that they've got to that position of having that sort of business. And even coaches have coaches. And we all need somebody maybe to keep us accountable, to drive us forward, to know our goals, to help support us and bring out ways and means that we can achieve those goals in us. And we might need some expert advice as well. And it's good to have people around us who are more knowledgeable than we are. And that's really key, to be able to gaining that information and knowing where we can get that from. And then having a start and end date. Is today the day you're doing your goals? When do you want to achieve that? Do I want to have broken free, say, in a year's time? Then write a year's date from now in the end date. And all those steps in between will be little goals achieving? You know, when do you build a business? When do you then have people queuing up? And when do you start earning money? These are all little individual goals getting you from your start to your end point, getting you to your main goal. And then when we look visually, this is how it could look. And I told you my drawing skills aren't very good, but that's cool. And do you know what, Matt? It doesn't really matter. What means right for you. So my main goal of breaking free, I've got a bird escaping from chains. So that was a visual representation that I could put in there. And I've got the holiday, so I've got the trees and the beach and the lovely sky. And I've got my family. So I've got 3 stick men and a little sticky doggy who are just wonderful. And I want lots of time with them. So I've got a watch over the other side for freeing up time. And that's how visually I wanted to see that I was in control of when I worked and where I worked. And you know, if I wanted to go out during the day and see my daughter in an assembly, that would be fine. I could do that. And I was, you know, had that empowering ability to be able to choose my time and what I did with it. Another sub goal for me was a house by the sea. Now that actually isn't the proper representation in my head of what my house looks like, because I want an L-shaped house. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about an L-shaped house. I just fancy an L-shaped house, but I can't draw an L-shaped house. So I've done the best visual representation for me of a house and a garage and the sea and the sun. But that's fine, because, you know, that works for me. And all my whys at the top, my most important things, I've got a set of scales for my balance. I've got a heart for the loving what I'm doing. You know, that's why I'm doing it, because I love what I do and it makes me happy. And I'm doing it because of my family, because of my husband, my daughter and our dog. So that's what's keeping me going. And on the right hand side at the bottom, how are you going to do it? Well, I'm going to build a business. So I've got the bricks and I've got a whiteboard and looking. And then the next one up is me with people queuing up to do business with me. And then a money bag, because that's, you know, what's going to enable me to generate my goals. And on the left hand side, oh, sorry, we've got workmen outside and I just set my dog off. I'm going to speak to my family, are going to help and support me in this. And I might need a teacher or a coach along the way. So I've done a representation of with a hat, you know, sort of a university. And then, you know, people experts. I've got a board and 2 people showing me what I need to do. You know, what expert advice and guiding and coaching me. And I've got a date, you know, I've got to go there from the 1st of January is when I set the goals until the 31st of December when I want to achieve them. And what's really important about this, just as we come to an end, is actually saying, sign that goal, put your signature on it and pin it up on the wall. Don't hide it away in a dusty folder. Put it up on display where you see it every day. Put it in the bathroom, put it next to the bed, put it wherever, on the fridge door, even if the fridge is somewhere you go in a lot. But just make sure that you can see it and focus on what are you wanting, why you're wanting it, and how you're going about achieving it. And be proud of yourself for what you want. You know, if you've done this process now, you are in a better position than the vast majority of the population, because most people don't set goals. They don't put down on paper what they want. So you should be really, really proud of yourself, because this is the start of a wonderful journey for you. But just remember, when you look at those goals and you look at your drawing and you look at your logical structure as well, because you need to put both of those up on the wall to make it work for you. Feel every day what the end result of what your goal feels like to you to have achieved. You know, what does that mean for you? And that's the wonderful feeling, because we're using our senses, we're using our, you know, our, not only the feeling, our kinesthetic feeling, but we're also dreaming and envisioning what that looks like. And keep that close to you. Keep that dream, believe that's actually something that you can achieve. And if you pin your goals up on the wall and have them drawn. And even if they change, you just update them, and that's fine. But having that every day, both sides of your goals, and then really feeling and dreaming what it's like to have those goals, you're in the best place ever. And this is what working towards your goals should feel like. It should be exciting. It should be relaxing and just like an easy ride on a lazy river going towards them. And, you know, life shouldn't be a feeling like a struggle. It should feel like a nice, wonderful journey as we learn, you know, and we never get to the end point of our journey. It's just a journey and a lovely trip down a wonderful river. So remember that. Now, if you'd like any more information on the goal setting, I'd really, really recommend Brian Main's Goal Mapping Workbook. It is really great, and it goes into detail about the different ways our brains work. So I really hope today that you've got some great information and that you've got a good template and some goals to start working towards. So if you want to have a check out my website, have a look at whyfollowtheherd.com. or my Facebook page is at Why Follow the Herd, or my Twitter is Why Follow Herd. So check me out, follow me, and I really hope that I see you again at some new webinar. It's really nice to have you part of this, and good luck with your goals, and I hope you achieve everything that you want to set out to achieve. I'll see you soon.